This is Lectio Musica. I'm Matthew David Morris. Lectio Musica is a podcast, and it is a spiritual practice of writing songs from Scripture. Scripture speaks, and we respond with song, with our creativity, with a willingness to bring the fullness of our life to the process. Sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's not. But I can tell you, as a songwriter who has been at this for a good 20 years, it is worth the effort. The songwriters I've collaborated with who write the really meaningful, really affecting songs all share a common characteristic: a willingness to look honestly at their own life and their own character. They are doing their inner work. And it's not that their life is some old country song, filled with lower than low tragedy. It's more that whatever their life has been, they have lived it, or they're currently living it, with their eyes wide open. They describe what is true. They eschew platitudes. They just say what's honest. It's something that I aspire to as a songwriter, but it's not always something that I achieve. The thing is, it's easier to write clever than it is to write true. It's easier to pull from a grab bag of cliches than to chisel away at a difficult idea. Overuse of metaphor can be a thing, too. My dad used to tell me that if you can't speak it, you shouldn't sing it. If he had any rule for songwriting, that was it. You should be able to speak the words out loud. And if you feel silly doing that, change them. It's a simple rule. And when you put it into practice, you learn how often you try to sneak something into a song that you would never say out loud. In just a minute, you'll hear the new Lectio Musica song, and I'll share a bit about the parts of Scripture that inspired it. Now, when you're listening to the song, see if the lyrics are ones that you could say and feel okay about. Ask yourself, how might I say that or sing that a little different? Okay, so here are the readings for this upcoming Sunday. Job 38, 1 through 11. Psalm 107, verses 1 through 3, and verses 23 through 32. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 1 through 13. Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41. So here's a little confession. In one of my classes at Isla School of Theology, this passage from Job came up. And it was really timed wonderfully because it came up just before I sat down to write this song. And we were asked to do a close reading of this passage. And my take on it was that God sounded a bit like a drag queen. Like there was shade. God was throwing shade at Job. God was sassy. Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? I mean, shade. And I loved it. It was so inspiring to me. And I carried that in some ways with me into the process of writing this song. I did pay attention to the other themes and words throughout, but that drag queen God made a mark on me, and I wrote a song from that place. And so here it is. It is called Were You There?
I made the earth? Were you there when I made the earth? When the angels cried for joy, could you hear the heavenly voices? Were you there when I made the earth? When the sea burst forth from the womb, when the sea burst forth from the womb, did you watch the clouds roll in? Were you there in the beginning, when the sea burst forth from the womb? Were you there, child? You better tell me. Were you there, child? You better tell me. Don't be scared, child. Let me make it easy. Were you there when I calmed the storm? Were you there when I calmed the storm? When I made the wind obey, was it you that I heard praying? Were you there when I calmed the storm? Were you there, child? You better tell me. Were you there, child? You better tell me. Don't be scared, child. Let me make it easy. Were you there when I made the earth? Were you there when I made the earth? When I parted day and night, were you standing there beside me? Were you there when I made the earth? Were you there, child? You better tell me. Were you there, child? You better tell me. Don't be scared, child. Let me make it easy.
In last week's song, Glory, I wrote, I am not God, I am not God. These are the truest words I know. This is a lyric that, in many ways, informed this week's song, too. And more than that, it is a message that I have to remind myself of daily. Just like it's easier to write a cliché than an original lyric, it's easier to be selfish than to be led by a God who, as the psalmist says, leads us out of our distress. But this is our work to do. We show up. We look for God to lead us out of our distress, to speak the words, "You are my beloved." We do this as songwriters, and we do this as Jesus followers. And sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's not. But I assure you, it is worth the effort. Thank you for listening to Lectio Musica. This podcast is made possible by a grant from the Episcopal Evangelism Society at ees1862.org. The song from this week's episode, Were You There?, was written by me and recorded by Jordan Richter with assistance from Andy Green at Room 13 Recording Studios in Portland, Oregon. If you like what you've heard, please leave your own review of Lectio Musica on iTunes or Stitcher, and don't forget to subscribe. And may God's love inspire you to sing.